Hey guys, welcome back to Based MMA. In this video, I'm going to be talking about a theory that I have about UFC 294, guys. I've been thinking about UFC 294, and this thought came to my head like yesterday in the afternoon when I was thinking like, man, wow, like they really were able to make Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev 2, even though we had heard that Charles Oliveira wasn't going to be ready to fight in Abu Dhabi, that October was going to be too soon, and then we heard that Alexander Volkanovski obviously was going to get, I think he already had the elbow surgery, so he might not be ready for October, and then obviously we know that most likely, right, we'll see what happens, but most likely the winner of Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje is probably not going to be able to make that fast of a turnaround to fight in October for Abu Dhabi. So we were like, man, who is Islam Makhachev going to fight? Like, even people like Daniel Cormier was saying in an interview that, I mean, potentially you could put a Michael Chandler, a Gamrot, an Armin Tsarukyan, somebody lower down in the rankings, just to have Islam Makhachev face somebody in Abu Dhabi and stuff like that. And then out of nowhere on what was it, Wednesday night, the UFC makes the announcement that Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev 2 is happening, and obviously we were all very excited. But when I took a step back and I was like, man, what if that was just a placeholder? My theory is, guys, here it is. Here's my conspiracy theory. All right, please let me know down in the comments below, because once you start thinking about it, you're gonna see what I'm trying to say here. I feel like Charles Oliveira is not gonna fight Islam Makhachev in October. That's not gonna happen. I think this was just a placeholder right now, just so they're able to sell that Abu Dhabi card, because they needed to announce it soon if tickets were gonna go on sale like today. I think tickets went on sale for UFC 294. So if tickets were gonna go on sale today, they needed like a main event and at least a co-main event to announce. Like, and we know that they didn't truly have like this card like locked and stuff like that. Like, you could tell like this was probably like a last minute card that they probably signed on Wednesday, if they did. At least they came to the agreement. And my theory is that Charles Oliveira is just a placeholder, and the real fighter that's really gonna fight Islam Makhachev in Abu Dhabi will be Alexander Volkanovski. I really think it's going to end up being Alexander Volkanovski. And what's going to end up happening is that when we get closer to October, maybe at the beginning of October, we're going to hear that Charles Oliveira has pulled out due to an injury. No, knew all along. And Alexander Volkanovski will end up facing Islam Makhachev. Now, why do I think the UFC is doing this? I think that truly they wanted to make the Volkanovski versus Islam rematch, but they don't know how Volk's recovery is going to be and if he's going to be able to fight in October. So what they did is that instead of waiting to announce and see if Volkanovski is going to be able to fight in October, they said, we'll announce the Charles Oliveira. They offered a lot of money to Charles Oliveira. That's my theory. That's my theory, guys. And it might end up being wrong. I might be totally wrong. But do not be surprised. I'm calling it right here, in this channel. First channel to say this. MMA community, nobody's talking about this. There was something off about this card, guys. This gives me like cursed card vibes. Like I feel like a lot of these fights are not gonna end up happening, and I would not be surprised if Charles Oliveira pulls out of this fight, because it seemed like if you go back and watch the Charles Oliveira interview from UFC 290, it seemed like the guy had no intention of fighting in Abu Dhabi. Like, the guy seemed like he wasn't gonna be ready and that he just didn't want to fight in Abu Dhabi, which, I mean, it's respectable. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't deal well with the pressure of fighting in Abu Dhabi. Perhaps he wanted to wait a little bit longer. Maybe he wanted some more time between fights. Whatever the case may be, it seems like he was pretty like hell-bent on not fighting in Abu Dhabi. And all of a sudden, like, this fight gets announced out of nowhere, because I felt like they announced this because they needed to announce a main event and a co-main event. Now, I'm mostly talking about the main event because, I mean, I feel like Paulo Costa versus Khamzat Chimaev, I think they're actually going to make that fight. Like, I think that fight is actually going to happen just because, like, you know, the build-up is going to be fun. Paulo Costa is a very popular UFC fighter, and then you have Khamzat Chimaev, the star, you know what I'm saying? So, I feel like Jared Cannonier versus Khamzat Chimaev, like, yeah, it's a very competitive fight. Maybe us more hardcore MMA fans, we might prefer it, but I feel like for at least the more casual viewer, the more casual UFC fan, I think that Paulo Costa versus Hamza Chimaev sells better. But when it comes to Islam Makhachev versus Charles, guys, I just think that, and I'm not trying to state that the UFC wants Islam Makhachev to lose, but I think they're trying to give Alexander Volkanovski a little bit of an advantage. And I would not be surprised if Alexander Volkanovski is going to be training like if he was going to fight Islam in October and then Charles ends up pulling out and he doesn't end up going to Abu Dhabi, guys. I just feel it. I don't know why, guys. I feel it. I really do feel it. And I know it might be a conspiracy theory, whatever, but I really do feel like there's something off about UFC 294, guys. Something off, and I'm calling it right now. I think we're going to end up seeing Volkanovski versus Makhachev 2 in October and not Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev 2. That's my theory. There's just something off about this card. It was just very weird to me that Charles was like, no, I'm not fighting there, and then the next day that fight gets announced. I felt like maybe they said we're gonna announce this in the meantime. Charles, get ready if you get ready as if you were gonna fight in October. And what we're gonna try to do is try to see if Alexander Volkanovski is gonna be ready, and then we're gonna pull you out and put Volkanovski right in. Because if that ends up happening, like people are still gonna be excited for the fight. Like it's not like people are gonna sell their tickets because Oliveira isn't gonna fight on that card. Like people still want to see Volkanovski versus Makhachev too. Some people would rather see that than Oliveira because Oliveira got beat pretty badly against Makhachev in the first fight, so some people feel like they'd rather see Volkanovski versus Makhachev too. So you know what I'm saying? So if they end up pulling Charles, like it's not really gonna be like people are not gonna be mad about it, I guess is my point, guys. But yeah, that's my theory for UFC 294. I've just been thinking about it. I'm like, man, like I feel like there's something off about this card, guys. There's something off. It gives me like Kerr's card vibes. It gives me like UFC 279 vibes, guys. But anyway, guys, let me know down in the comments below if you agree with my theory. If you feel like there was something off about these announcements. If you, I don't know. I just feel like it's not gonna happen, guys. But anyway, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to this channel, guys. And I'll see you guys in the next one.